dream big, but start small. If nobody knows who you are, especially, it's going to be a lot harder to get your foot in the door and get your name out there for people to have that trust connection with you as a business owner and whatever you're trying to sell or provide for people.
People can make really good financial decisions, but if they do them in the wrong order, a good financial decision turns into a bad one.
At the end of the day, you never know if something is going to lead to a job or not. And it doesn't matter. As long as you make that connection with somebody.
I'm 2 times more productive today than I was as little as 5 years ago just because of AI.
For voiceovers, I do anything from medical voiceovers to commercial video games. I was in The Walking Dead Destinies, one of their franchise video games.
Well, you were one of the funnest interviews I've had. You just keep opening up more stuff. So you start off with this voice actor, and then I'm like, okay, well, here it is. And then all of a sudden I'm a mermaid, and now you're a photographer.
That's good. That's good stuff. I hope you guys are listening.
So I start all this podcast with the same question every time. If you go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be? Welcome to today's PlanAssist Podcast, where we interview successful business owners with the goal of helping you make better financial decisions. And what I like to do is start off with a golf analogy. There was 3 guys at the golf course, and the one guy looks at the other 2 and says, "What makes a good golfer?" And the first guy looks at him and says, well, it's the grip, it's the stance, it's the swing, it's the follow through. And though those are all probably right, the second golfer looks at him, he looks at the second golfer, says, what makes a good golfer? And the second golfer looks at him and says, I look where the ball falls. And that's what we try to do on PlanAssist, is more the second guy. A lot of advice we get to help us grow our businesses financially, personally, or from a business perspective is more the mechanics of it. But it's not really looking at what exactly happens. And so when I interview these small business owners, I really try to kind of bring out what helps them really grow their business. And today I'm super excited to introduce Shannon Scott. She's a professional voice actor based here in Florida. She does commercial voiceovers, audiobooks, e-learning animation, character work, and she's also has a real unique background from a performance perspective. So underwater performance, motion capture, film work, all kinds of things kind of in the entertainment marketing world. And today I am super excited to have her on today's podcast. So with that, is there anything I missed, Shannon, that you want to add?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you basically covered it in a nutshell. Thank you so much for that. The only thing is also the Bright Stars Green Room, but it all ties together in what I do. So, thank you for that marvelous introduction, Tim. It's so great to be here with you.
I love having you on. That's fantastic. And, it's becoming like, which we'll get into, but before I do, I want to kind of just touch on, as the world's becoming so audio, visual, and it's becoming such an important part of growing our business and growing our brands, that having someone that helps us with that part of it's very important. So I'm excited to kind of get into that section of it and ask you some questions around it. But before I do that, I have to start off with the same question. So I start all this podcast with the same question every time. If you go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be? And it does not have to be financial advice. It can be any advice.
Okay. So this is a great question, and there's so many things I would tell my younger self. However, I think that the main thing that I would do or say is, yes, dream big, but start small. Because sometimes some people dream a little bit too big, and it can get a little overwhelming, and you start to feel like, you got in too deep before you stepped in and just dabbled a little bit to get accustomed to what you're doing, what you're offering to the people that you're trying to serve. So yes, dream big, think about the bigger picture, but try to do something smaller, because if nobody knows who you are, especially, it's going to be a lot harder to get your foot in the door and get your name out there for people to have that trust connection with you as a business owner and whatever you're trying to sell or provide for people.
I think that is such great. That's one of the best openings that I've had because, and I've done about 40 of these or 35 of them, but I have to say,
Awesome.
of all the things when I talk to small businesses or I talk to someone starting off, they have a tendency to have really good aspirational goals, but where they miss it is the steps towards those aspirations, right? So the boring part of being successful is
Yep,
is all that stuff in the middle, right? I mean, we always hear about
absolutely.
that person. Look at that guy down the road. He just made $1 million selling his business and da da da. But
Yeah.
you missed that they spent 20 years doing it.
Right. And they say, you hear a lot, oh, just believe in yourself, believe it so much and make it happen. And
Yes.
yes, eventually that will be the case. But when you're first starting out, unless you know somebody who's going to help you get there, or, something magical happens in the middle, it's going to be really, really difficult. So you just got to take those baby steps, I think, first.
Well, and as a financial advisor, and I don't really get into a lot of the financial stuff on here, but the steps and the process and the systems is maybe the best way to word it are really, really important, right? I
They
mean, you've
are.
got to have systems and you've got to have processes in place and doing it in order of all the things. I mean, I've spent my whole life helping rich people stay rich. Okay. So that's really been my life. Okay. So, and one of the things that I find interesting when I talk to people is the order that people can make really good financial decisions, but if they do them in the wrong order, a good financial decision turns into a bad one. And
Yeah,
people miss that. And it goes back to how you answered that kickoff. What are your steps and your processes?
exactly.
So let's talk about so let's transition from there to kind of a little bit about you. So what
Okay.
about like the voice, like how big I used to use, and I still do a little bit. So I just haven't done a lot of I've kind of switched over to podcast, so it's more my voice. But I used to use a lot of voice actors on Fiverr and
Oh,
on
wow. Okay.
Upworks. So
Yeah.
I kind of went to that process. So talk to me a little bit about kind of what do you see your businesses that are struggling? What are some of the challenges that they have? And then maybe spend a little bit of time on some of the successes that you're seeing or opportunities.
Okay, so in the performance realm, I would say the main thing right now is, I'm sure you've heard a lot of it, is the AI and how it's pretty much competing with actors, voice actors, and they're trying to take our jobs.
Right.
So I've seen a definite decrease in auditions and anything out there that's kind of related. It's kind of done it's like a wave, right? I think the beginning of last year was the hardest hit because that's when it was really introduced. However, the beginning of this year, it's been like a kind of a little step backwards. People realize that, wow, the human connection isn't there. Like, it's not connecting with our audience because it's not human. So it's kind of making a shift backwards, and some of those jobs are coming back, but I'm not even kidding, there's like a 60% decrease in jobs compared to what it used to be for entertainers in general. So that is a little difficult in itself because the jobs are scattered, I would say.
And then what about, let's just spend some time on this because as someone who uses voice actors, so what I find interesting is when they come back, are they coming back with a little more visual, right? So one of the things that I used to struggle with, if I wanted to do like a little 1 minute video,
Yeah.
I would try to do a script and then I'd use a voice actor because my voice isn't good for video and all that kind of, especially for a commercial. Well, what I find interesting is, and I do 100% agree with you, is the AI doesn't give you the same thing. As a consumer, I immediately can tell it's live or it's AI, right?
Right, right.
But one of the things that I could see myself as I transition into this, and I'm curious what you think about this, is I could see myself using AI to find the structure and texture of what I want to say, and then hiring someone like you to give it the finishing touch. Are you seeing
Okay.
people use that?
I haven't seen it done that way. It's either they just want to save money and go, because every business wants to save money at the end of the day. I'm not gonna lie, it's tempting to save that extra amount of money, but are you really saving in the long run? So more companies will more so just go all in and AI or nothing at all. But I've never seen that kind of
I think you're going to see that.
that would be
If
that
I
would
was
be
betting
actually
money,
helpful.
Because what happens is if you're someone who's not used to marketing, if you're not a marketing person, right, of whatever
Right.
business you're in, what happens is you waste a lot of money on ads that miss the mark.
Oh, that's
And
true.
you're after the fact. That's not your problem, right? I mean, because
Right.
they hire you, and here's what I want you to say, and you say what they say, right?
Right.
But so that's not anything you did wrong. That's they did it wrong on the front end part of it. But up until AI, I had no way to tell if I was hitting the mark or not.
Hmm.
Right. So now for 20, $25, I can use AI to just test it. It's always the wrong voice, right? I can tell what it
Yeah.
is, but I
Yeah.
could see myself using AI to help me kind of, okay, am I hitting the mark? Is this really the message I want to say? And then
Right.
once I hear it, and then I say, okay, now I got to go get a live person to make this more live. I have a feeling you'll see a lot more of that. I really
And
do.
that would be cool because as a business owner too, I get that. And, like wanting to save money, but also being specific. Like you're
Correct.
saying, you gotta have that idea and where you're going with this and make it profitable in the long run. So I think that using AI for the right reasons like that is perfect, and if you're going to go to a voiceover and say, hey, here's what we got, but put your little saucy spin on it and make it pop, that's cool. I like that. That's a great
Well,
idea.
exactly. I really can see but I think that's where all of AI is going. I think that's where financial services is going. A lot of financial advisors are like, no, you shouldn't use AI. You should call me. My clients use AI. I can't stop them.
Oh,
And I
wow.
can tell that they're using it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm good friends. I mean, I know most of my clients. I have a relatively small book. So I'll get in conversation. I say, well, how'd you find that? And they'll say, I used AI. I said, that's a really good way to get education. And even what you're saying is right, but that might not be the exact thing for you because of this, right? Because I know
Right.
who they are, right? And then I help them kind of go and maybe make adjustment because AI is all about the prompt and all about the follow-up questions, right? So if you don't get
Exactly.
those pieces right, you're probably not going to get the best answer.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think from a financial advisor perspective, because I'm having the exact same issue you are, where people are utilizing it. And what I'm finding is that instead of trying to compete with it, I'm trying to partner with it.
That's beautiful, actually. That's
Um,
really, really good.
it's a long slosh though, because my world's so compliant driven. So how do you do that? So
Right.
I haven't figured that out. It sounds good, but to be
It's a
honest with you,
learning process.
I
You
haven't
gotta,
like
but you have to. You have to travel with the times and you also have to figure it out in the process. That's business in general. So you're
but
on the right track.
I don't know, but that is I said that's because, and I'm not even doing this from a financial advisor perspective. I am really good friends with my doctor, and the same thing. I'll go to her and I'll sit down and I'll say, "Here's what it is," and she'll say, "You got that from chat, didn't you?" And I say, "Yes."
Yep. I know it.
And then she'll give me a hard time, and then we'll have a conversation about, well, what's wrong or what's right with it, right? But it is interesting because it does allow me time to internalize and ask different questions, but I don't for even 2 seconds think that chat's better than my doctor. Right. I just
Awesome.
don't.
I
Okay.
love that.
You know what I mean? But I think it's true even with your business. I don't think that AI is going to replace my voiceover pieces, but I do think AI will help me get my messaging clean because I do
Yeah.
really miss my messaging because I'm not a marketing guy person, right? So,
Right.
so it's easy to miss. Like I'll do a 2 minute voiceover and I'll say, well, I missed I should have
Yeah.
said this. I should have said that.
Right. Yeah. 100%. That's great.
So what else are you doing? So that's your main business is
That's my
voiceover.
main, yes,
How
that's
are
my
you
main point of.
marketing it?
That is a good question. So, marketing is probably my number two piece of advice. Learn how to market yourself because, especially, it's like one of those, it feels icky, especially as an entertainer, because you're like, I just want to perform. I just want to,
Totally.
I don't, I'm not, it just, it,
Especially left
ugh,
brain people like you. Really, I'm more right brain, so I'm kind of process driven, et cetera. But I have tons of friends who are left brain, and we have the funnest conversations because they just are like, no, I'm not doing
no.
that. I'm like, you have to.
You have to. And so you have to learn how to market yourself. Get out of your head. Stop thinking like you're going to these people to sell you. Yes, we are all selling ourselves on a daily basis. Like, that's life in general. There's always something, right? But when you switch your thinking from I have to sell myself to how can I serve these people, or just making a genuine connection, because at the end of the day, you never know if something is going to lead to a job or not. And it doesn't matter. As long as you make that connection with somebody, I don't care if I ever work for them. I just like having that connection and, just being a part of their circle in a way, or, whatever they need help with, even if it's finding a different performer or something. I could say, hey, I know who you're looking for. Let me go see if, connect you with them. And it's all the network, right? So learn how to market yourself and start thinking differently, because once you do that, it gets a little easier. It doesn't get easier, but it gets a little easier.
Yeah, exactly.
A little
It's
more
just
manageable.
reframing that what are you doing? But I will tell you, and I bumped into this years ago, but I tell people all the time this. Any business, people don't realize how influential one or two people are in their whys in the road. Okay. Like if you go back, and I was at some seminar, I can't remember what it was, one of those weekend seminars. And one of the things they said, make a list of the 5 people who are most influential in where you're at today from a business perspective. Okay. Because it was a business process. So you went through and said, okay, what are the things that happened, and sitting down, and they gave us like an hour. Okay. And then we had to write that down, and then we mailed it. They gave us a pre-envelope, and you mailed it to yourself. So you thought about it for that, and then you rethought about it. And that exercise was so interesting, because if you sit back and think about kind of, well, how did I end up here? How did I end up at that company? What you'll find almost 100% of the time is it's one person. And you can't predict the one person. And when I did my 5 people, it was crazy, Shannon, because of the 5 people, 4 of them, I don't even know. I don't, I mean, I'm not like friends with them or anything. I mean, it was,
Right.
they have no idea that they showed up as one of the 5 most influential people in my life. But because I really didn't stay in contact with them, but the interaction with them sent me this way or sent me that way, or provided a process. It's fascinating. So to your point about just being out there and talking to people, you have no idea. And if you quit acting like that, if you stop measuring the success of the interactions and just start having them, you'll be shocked. I mean, all of a sudden one person shows up and boom.
Exactly. You just never know.
Yeah, you
It's
don't.
awesome. It's awesome. And so just remember that. You just never know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's the biggest kind of process. So what else is AI? My favorite subject of all time is AI. So what else is AI doing to, we know it's challenging you in your voice world, but I do think that what you said is going to play out. I think the top voice people, AI just helps them lock in the numbers, right? Because I think AI again is a different process. But besides that, what else are you seeing businesses utilizing AI, both good and bad, right? Like what's kind of both sides of it?
Yeah. So the good is, right, like, especially if you're on social media. Like if you're a performer, you have to have social media, they say. Get your face out there, they say, which is true. You got to market. That's another form of marketing. But at the same time, it's like, oh, not this again. So what do I post? What are the things? How consistent do I need to be? All that stuff, right? And you get in overwhelm, because you're not only auditioning for things, you're not only looking for jobs, you're not only marketing, you're doing all these things, but you have to make content too. Like, seriously? So in a good sense, the AI can help you figure out ideas, what to kind of do on a weekly basis, or what to write about, how to help your website get a better ranking on Google and all that. That is a whole different story. And yes, performers need to do that too. But yeah, so it helps you literally brainstorm your content, your blogs, your posts, your anything. It'll help you kind of brainstorm that. But on the flip side, too, for actors like on camera or anything like that, there's also been the AI taking those jobs. So it's really weird. And like, you wouldn't even think that that would be a thing. I see commercials. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Like you chose that over a real actor? So, there's that. There's that.
I just wonder, kind of where again, I'm kind of back to I totally agree with you on the brainstorming because I use it all the time, and I use it kind of how do I engage and making sure I'm kind of going down this. It allows me as a soloist to have access to data that normal solo businesses wouldn't have access to.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's
but you,
great.
but you do have to be really careful. So I'll kind of give you my two, and then we can kind of go into the one or the other and talk about.
Okay.
But the biggest challenge that I see with AI that people don't realize is that. So I'll get in this conversation again. I'm in investments, so it's kind of all that world is. They'll say, "Uh oh, AI is going to take over everything," and I said, "It can't. It's
Mm-mm.
impossible." And they said, "Yeah, no, it's going to." And I said, "No." I said, "I'm telling you." I said, "I've done a bunch, tons and tons of research. I saw this great video of someone who's a massive AI person, like one of the original early processes." And
Oh,
and they
wow.
got into that conversation. He goes, "Nope." He goes, "The biggest problem you have with AI that's not fixable, unfixable, like literally unfixable, is sycophant." And
Oh,
what I mean by that is it'll agree with you 100% of the time. It becomes a yes man. And
that's true.
you can't fix that. Like it's important for people to grasp. And that's what that guy got into that conversation. He goes, "We cannot, that's unfixable because the way AI is set up, it's just a large language model. And
Mm,
so the only way you can fix the sycophant to some degree is you got to get into some of these custom AI models that cost massive amounts of money, right? But if you're just
right.
on Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, those will all are they're all sycophants, okay? Now, and that doesn't sound like a huge problem, but if you're running a business or you're making financial decisions or you're trying to go down a path, it's important to realize that when you hit those Y's in the road and you're asking it a question, it knows you, right?
Yeah,
So it has all your data. So it will build in this almost like this unknown bias, and you won't even know
that's
it.
true. That's true.
And all of a sudden, you'll be like, well, this is the greatest marketing strategy I've ever had. I'm going to go hire Shannon to do a voicemail over. And here's what we're going to say. And da da da. It sounds all great to me. And boom. All of a sudden, you run it. People say no. You know, so of all the things I see with AI, people have to realize that. And almost nobody knows it.
Right.
Almost, even when I bring it up, they'll say, yeah, I understand it. I say, no, you don't realize how kind of insidious it is, though. I mean, the more it knows you, the more it becomes a yes person.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be careful about that too. But at the same time, at least you have a guideline. It gives you a
Correct.
guideline, and then you use your brain to go a little bit further than what it says. Or you say, is that true, chat? Or can we do a little better? Or, what are we missing here? Because I feel like you're fluffing. You're giving me the fluffy answer. But even then, like you say,
You
it's
know, sycophant.
still gonna be,
No,
yeah, it's still gonna go up there. So you have to still use your brain.
you've got to figure out how to build what I would call team of experts. Okay, so how whatever
Yes.
business you're in, you've got to build a group of people around you that
Yes.
keep you grounded, and those are humans, and they'll
Mhm.
always be humans, and that's kind of my point. You're not going to go and just do everything AI world,
No.
but AI can help us become so much more productive. I can't even describe it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yes.
so that's the productivity piece is the super positive of it because I'm two times more productive today than I
Right.
was as little ago as 5 years ago just because of AI.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Same here. Same here. I use it too, and I'm a believer of it, but at the same time, you have to stick with the humans too. And your main
Exactly.
people will help you get a little bit further. So take it to chat, and then whatever you get, analyze it yourself, process it, and then take it to your group of people. Say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And then bounce ideas back and forth off of each other, and then go from there. Because, like you said, those people don't want to steer you wrong. They want to help you get to that next level. So that is so important.
So you do voiceover. What other acting do you do? So what other like companies? Like, give us a little kind of overview of a little bit about yourself. What kind of some of the stuff you do?
Oh, so for voiceovers, I do anything from medical voiceovers to commercial video games. I was in The Walking Dead Destinies, one of their franchise video
Oh my
games.
gosh, how
Uh,
fun!
Pfizer, I've done some work for them, and just there's so many. So it just depends. It depends on what I get booked for, but
How do you
I've also
get booked? How do people find you?
Oh, geez. Well, my website, simplyshannonscott.com, or you can
Okay.
email me at thatgirl@simplyshannonscott.com.
Well, that's not gonna.
You
I'd
know,
never find you doing
and
that.
but it's easy. Okay, at Simply Shannon Scott is all my handles. Just
Okay.
type in that, even Simply Shannon Scott online. You'll find me. I'll pop up. Easy,
Okay.
easy peasy. But for finding work, it goes so many different directions, right? You have agents, you have random casting calls. I go on LinkedIn and find different rosters to be a part of, and they'll send out casting calls. Reaching out to people, just ask, like saying, hey, I'm here if you need a voiceover, which I don't like doing that, but that's an option. And yeah, it's just
Do you use
whatever.
Fiverr or Upworks?
I have not used those two, but I've heard that it can be really good. I just haven't gone down that rabbit hole personally.
That you should at least explore it. I use both of them all the time. I mean, I'm like power users on both.
Okay. Okay.
But
I'll have to
but
check it out.
but it is a learning process. Okay, so it's really important to kind of know the. But I've never been a person posting my stuff on there. I've always been a person using it.
Right.
But I will say I'll bet it's a very specific learning process to use it productively, and then and have good expectations, right? But the
Okay.
same
Yeah.
thing's probably true on that. If you're posted on there, you have to learn. There's probably not, like, how do you price it? How do you message? All that kind of stuff is stuff that you kind of go through and learn,
Right.
but
Everything's a learning
but
curve.
but it does open you up to the world,
Okay. All right.
like
I'll have
literally the world. That's where I got my Bangladesh editing people.
to. Okay. All right. I'll check it out. Thank you for that.
So I mean, it's like, what,
Something
and
extra.
it lets us small business. It's an easy process because once we have our credit cards and all that stuff in there, it's
Yeah.
kind of Amazon is the best way to
Right.
think about it, right?
Okay.
So like people give me a hard time about, well, why aren't you going somewhere else? I'm like, Amazon's not the cheapest. I said, but Amazon has all my info. I know the password. I know that stuff. The
Heck yeah.
same thing's true with me hiring voiceover actors. I'm telling you, even though I don't hire
Okay.
voiceover actors very often, but or
Yeah.
at least I haven't in a while. But
Okay.
hiring anybody to do anything, I just typically go to those two. And I'll give you
Huh.
one more kind of piece of info that's just interesting, not so much good. But Fiverr, they're two different models. They're both massive, like literally millions and millions and millions of people on both, okay?
Yeah.
And on both sides. But they're just a little bit different. And what I would describe is Fiverr, where Fiverr got was when it started back 10 or 15 years ago, where it said, I'll do whatever you want for $5. That's where the name comes from.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's just do it for $5. Now there's nothing on
No,
there
it's
for
not.
$5 anymore, but but that's where it comes from. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. And so it has a tendency to be more focused. So,
Gotcha.
so I have one job I need to do. I need to redo a website. I need to redo an image. I need to, put up what was that? Fiverr's that go to for that kind of one job, kind of that process. And it'll have a tendency to be really good people, but it
You
you
have
know
so hit or miss
it's hit or
sometimes.
miss. No, it really is hit or miss. But I'm really good, but my expectations are good. So I mean, I've used it hundreds and hundreds of times. So I have a really good kind of process on it. But the
That's great.
other one is Upworks. Now that one's more upscale, and it
Okay.
has a tendency to be a little more longer term projects, and it'll have a tendency to even have a little better professional people on there, et
Hmm.
cetera. So the
Okay.
two are a little bit like like if if a Fortune 500 company was hiring a voiceover actor,
Yeah.
100% they'd use Upworks, but they would use
Okay.
Upworks. So like that group would
Okay.
use Upworks, right?
Yeah.
They would probably not use Fiverr.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good to know. Thank you.
And I'm guessing, but I mean, I did spend a bunch of time in corporate America, so that would be my, like when I was at Block for a while, and if we needed something, I would use Upworks. I
Oh,
probably wouldn't use
wow.
Fiverr.
Wow.
But
Okay.
but but now as a soloist, I'll use both because I don't care, right?
Right.
I don't
Right.
get. I just need
Okay.
good quality stuff.
All right. Thanks, Tim. I
So,
appreciate that little input.
but for people listening on this small business, there are a lot of people that either don't use it or use it a little bit, right? But
Right.
there's all kinds of
Yeah.
tools on there to
Logos, all the things,
look,
you
even
know.
re-imaging. I'll need a, like I went, like just recently I had an image that I needed transparent. right? So I did an image, and I said I need to put this on my website, but I need it to be a transparent image versus just the white background. Went
Yeah,
on Fiverr. I said, hey, I got an image. I need. They said, come back, $10, $15, boom.
that's not bad. That's cool.
No, right. I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what it is, but even voiceover stuff, you could get on there and say, okay, here's what it is. And then you listen to people's voiceover and whatever. I mean, again, that's your main thing though, is voiceover, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
still your main practice, your
It
main.
is. It is my main priority, my main goal, but I also am a mermaid. So if I get a client that wants photos underwater or a performance, anything underwater, I'm your girl too. Stunt work on
How,
film.
how did you get into mermaid? Tell me about that.
Oh my goodness. What little girl doesn't want to be a mermaid growing up?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it was a given, but I grew up in Florida, so I was always swimming. We would go to the springs all the time, and it was just a natural part of my life. And then one day, total sketch way of finding work, but I was on Craigslist back in the day, and I was just
That's
searching
Fiverr
around.
today, by the way. So I don't want, I don't want, I don't want to.
Okay. All
So,
right.
so,
I
so
mean, I don't recommend going on Craigslist. I mean, it's sketch, right? But I found an opportunity, an audition to become a mermaid. And I did a little research and I was like, does this seem legit? It was held at a specific dive shop and, a certain day, all that you came, you did your performance, they told you what to do, you were swimming around in a pool and they would give you different tasks and just, you would act pretty underwater and then at the end of the day, people were cut and then a few stayed and then that's how I got a part of the mermaid, I guess, community in a way and then that led to Ripley's Aquarium. And from there, it's just been history. I've been known as a mermaid.
that's awesome. What a great
Yeah,
story.
it's pretty
That,
cool. I mean,
that's
looking
really
back on
cool.
it, though, I'm just like, wow, Craigslist, of all the places.
It goes to my
But
point. You don't know.
you
Goes
don't
back to what
know.
we started the conversation. It's one thing, boom. Next thing you know, your whole life changes because, or at least a portion of your life may not change your whole life, but it changes a
No,
portion.
but it does. It does because actually, I started dancing when I was around 19 years old.
That's
And
pretty late,
it's
actually.
late. It's very late. But my teachers loved me so much and they wanted me to go to a dance academy that was going on in the summer in Georgia. So I went. And that was around the same time I became a mermaid. But after I completed that summer, the head teacher, she asked me to become one of their dancers, a part of, her, I don't know what they're called, their troupe. Yeah, their dance troupe. And, she's like, Shannon, I've never seen anybody, especially your age, come in and just be able to take everything in and apply it and all the things. Yes, we have work to do. Your turnout isn't as great as the 3-year-olds who have turnouts like here, but, your progress is amazing. Be a part of our troupe, come live here, all that stuff. But it happened around the same time and I chose the mermaid path, which, it's just you just never know. There's different things to weigh in, right? But
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like you don't know what path is going to lead where.
And the dancing and mermaid are kind of still the same, right? Because it's more like dancing
Kinda.
underwater, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And for me, I looked at it as okay, okay, it would be awesome because I love to dance. I love it so much. But at the same time, I was an older dancer, right? And theoretically, to have like a professional career, it caps out. There's a limit. Your body kind of starts to give out and everything. But for mermaids, there's no cap on that. You look great underwater. Kind of, age doesn't matter. And it's like your body feels lighter underwater. The bones don't hurt, all that stuff. So, I kind of thought about that too. I was like,
Yeah. So and do whatever. We're just talking, so I'm not telling you anything. But I'm just it's
yeah,
fun to call. You should put the mermaid thing on Upworks. The voiceover, you're going to have tons and tons of competition. If you go on Upworks or go on to voice, I'm not exact. You still should do it. I think you still should do it, but
okay.
but it'll take you some time to figure it out. So you'll have to go into it knowing that it's not just kind of put something up there and away you go. You got to learn how to use it, et cetera. Which I'm
Right.
happy to give you an opinion as someone who uses it as a power user on the other side. But that you can do a YouTube and kind of learn. Okay, that process. But the mermaid thing would be unique on
Okay.
Upworks. Like that would be the kind of thing and most people don't think that the big companies are on. They are. They absolutely are on there. They're
Okay.
probably not on Fiverr.
I
I
believe
kind
it.
of go back to that, but they are absolutely on Upwork. I mean, I see people
Wow.
on Upworks that'll make. I'm doing like a program, an AI kind of software program,
Yeah.
and I'll see when I don't hire them because I can't. They're out of my price league, but I see guys on there that are making 300-400 grand a year.
Wow.
Yes, I mean it's not like
That's
it's a serious business. Like there are some
okay.
high hitters on there,
Okay.
and so like, and the question becomes is how do you make it? How do you make yourself a little different? But that mermaid thing would make you different, like as an actor or
Yeah.
something like that. That would be very unique. I would definitely try that,
Okay. Thank
and it
you.
costs you nothing. It costs
Okay.
literally nothing.
I
Even
like
if
that.
you used it, in fact, you could even use it as part of your LinkedIn or part of your web page where you just put your LinkedIn, your profile on Upworks. So if someone wants
Oh
info, they can
yeah.
hit that. And then they say, oh, we already got an account at Upworks. So let's just hire her.
Nice. I like that. Also, everybody, if you get any kind of like tip or listen, some people don't listen to the tip that's coming into them. So that's my third piece of advice. Always take it in, process it, and listen because you never know. It
You,
could lead to something great. So
so,
thank you for that, Tim.
so, and again, I'm not like this great sage. I'm not giving you advice. We're just talking, but I will tell
Yeah.
you, I wrote a book called PlanAssist, okay? And I wrote it about 5 years ago, and I wrote it for my clients. I didn't write it for people outside my client base. But the reason I wrote it was I realized that my clients, I was only getting to spend a couple hours a year with them. Okay, so
Okay.
if you're a client, like, well, I mean, how many times you sit down with your financial advisor and talk? Maybe
Yeah.
an hour, twice a year, right? So, and then they would come to me with some issue that they're or concern or something that they're dealing with. So we would end up talking about something that they're most concerned about for most of the time, right? I mean, which is what you're
Right.
supposed to do, listen to what they're doing, right? But I realized that because of that, I wasn't able to kind of tell them or share some of my strategies, principles, etc., that I see other really successful people use. Okay, so that's kind of where the reason for the book. And the reason I tell you all that is I looked for common principles for more than a year and a half, 2 years, where I was looking for what are like rich people, what are some principles that all of them do? And I couldn't really find, I found 5, 6 that are kind of common, but they weren't
Yeah.
really consistent. Okay. And this will get to my point about the listen. Okay. So,
Okay.
I'm kind of setting it up. So then I said, okay, I heard Charlie Munger do a Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting, and someone asked him, what was one of your most aha moments from a financial advice perspective or from a learning perspective? And he said, invert everything. He didn't pause even a little bit. He didn't. He just immediately looked. Guy in the speaker said, "Invert everything." And he says, "When I was in the army, my job was a weatherman, and I realized that when I first became a weatherman, I was telling the pilots, the skies are blue, there's low winds, clear skies for 5 miles, etc. He goes, it didn't help them even one little bit. They didn't care,
Right.
right? That was not helpful to the pilots. What was helpful is if I inverted everything. So I only told them the stuff that was dangerous. There's
Nice.
thunderstorms, there's high winds, there's hail in a certain area. And when I heard him say that, I said, well, what if I took that idea and started looking at, okay, I know what rich people do. There's 5, 6, 7 common things, but what are things that people aren't successful that should be, right? I'm not talking about
Right.
people who've had bad luck or something. I'm talking about people who have made really good career choices and are doing fine, but they have no money. Okay. So I looked at that group. Well, there were 3 things that group doesn't do that the rich people do. So I merged the two. And it's number
Nice.
one is rich people have a plan. People who make a lot of money that don't end up with any money have no plan. They just kind of wing everything. The second thing is they're diversified. Rich people are always have multiple income streams. They have money diversified across Roth, taxable, tax deferred. Their investments are diversified, obviously, but they're diversified. So diversification is key. People who struggle, they're not diversified. It's very common for them to have 1 or 2 kind of things and everything. They don't diversify anything. And then
Right.
the third one, which is the most important, those two are actually kind of easy to fix, to be honest with you, because they're pretty objective. Okay. The
Yeah.
third one is subjective, and it's the hardest of all, and that is seek advice or seek, I
Oh,
called it seek counsel. And the rich people, they don't, the best way I can explain this is if you ever meet someone who's really financially successful, they're constantly asking questions. And I got a lot of feedback on it because they said, don't you seek counsel because no one that doesn't mean this. I said, I don't care. Use whatever word you want. But the people who are successful, they're always curious.
mhm.
Like there's a curiosity. And when you're engaging with them, you don't realize that they're actually asking for your advice because they address it more in a curious way than they do in a, hey, what do you think, Shannon? Should I do this or do that? They'll say,
Yeah.
well, why are you doing that? What's about this? So they do it very, and they don't even know they're doing it, by the way. So it's not like a conscious decision. The
Yeah.
other group, they absolutely are horrific at being curious or asking questions. They just, because it's very, very foreign to them. And
Right.
and the reason I share that story is because all the things that I see happen is the people who are successful, they are very, very good at being curious.
I like that.
And that's why a lot of times if you meet someone who's made some decision, doesn't matter, financial or otherwise, career or whatever, they don't really, they can't really tell you who gave them that advice, and they don't, it's
Mhm.
not like they don't want to tell you who gave it to them. They don't care. Okay, they'll tell you
Yeah.
where they got it.
Yeah.
They literally don't know because
Wow.
they've asked so many people. And then those people, it wasn't like they did exactly what one person said. They merged kind of all that input
Ooh.
and they ended up with some decision. And then you say, well, where'd you get that idea? And they're like, I don't know. But they
Oh.
literally don't know because
Wow.
they've asked 5 or 6 or 7 people. And
Yeah.
the decision ended up being not any one of those feedbacks, more this merge of those 5 or 6 people.
That's cool. I like that.
So
That's good. That's good stuff. I hope you guys are listening.
no, I'm telling you. But and then the other reason I got off on that wacky rabbit hole is because, like you said, listen to this or go down that path. It's not like you'll follow any one person's advice. You won't. What'll happen is you want to just get it from a lot of people, and that's where AI kind of closed the gap on it. That's where AI is so incredibly valuable because it just becomes one of the 5 people or
Yeah.
sources that you get information from.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. That's great. That's great stuff.
But I do think your mermaid thing could be a hit on Upworks. You
All
do need
right.
to test it
Okay. I will. I will. I will put it on my to-do list for sure. I really
because
will.
that of all the things that I see on Upworks, that would be one thing that would be a little bit unique.
Okay.
Do you
I
come to
like that.
Orlando a lot?
Oh, I'm at this month, yes, but no, on a regular basis, no. But this month I will be actually for 2 underwater modeling jobs, and then I need to get new headshots and a screening of a new TV like series that we're putting together, me and another independent filmmaker. So that's I'll be
How
in Orlando a lot
fun!
this month. Yeah,
That sounds fantastic.
yeah.
The headshots are a big deal, aren't they? People don't
They
realize.
they are, and for us actors, it's horrible because we have to update them like every 2 to 3 years. So it's like that constant update and expense, especially for actors when the season is drier, 60% jobs being low. It's a hard pill to swallow, but we still have to do it. Like it's just one of
Do
those
you
things.
typically go to people's studios or what? How's that done?
Yeah, usually. So I also am a photographer, but I can't take my own photos. I don't like it. But usually they will come to whoever is taking the photos. But there's a Los Angeles photographer coming down to the Orlando area, and I'm gonna go to him wherever he's at. I don't know where he'll be exactly, but
Well,
yeah,
you
it's a
were
process.
one of the funnest interviews I've had. You
Well,
just
thank
keep
you.
opening up more stuff. So you start
I'm
off with I'm this
sorry.
voice actor, and then I'm like, okay, well here it is, and then all of a sudden I'm a mermaid, and now you're a photographer.
Yeah, I so
You
that's
do a
another thing
lot of
about
stuff then.
I
You kind
do.
of do a big broad stuff in that whole media world.
Yeah, anything creative, I love it. And it's probably why I never stuck to a regular job is because those are usually, they're consistently the same. Whereas all the creativity things, they change every day. Yes, I might be acting every day, but the job is different. And then for photography, I love making people smile and bringing out the best in them and capturing it on photo. I think that that is the coolest thing. And you never get those memories back. So that's why I also love video too. And I also have my own film company now. I sure did productions. And I'm just also creating things not only for me, but other actors as well. And for my photography, I just want to give people something that is not only competes with other photographers, like not competing with other photographers. How do I word this? But us actors, we have to pay, 2 to 3 years to get our headshots done. So I want to be that person who can offer the grateful actors, the one who might be struggling but need to update their stuff, want to update their stuff for a more reasonable price, that's more affordable to them. That's where I want to kind of give back.
Okay.
But yeah, making them shine in their photos. I love doing that. It's just, I love it.
Well,
I
how
love it.
fun.
Yeah.
So if anyone needs any of those things, they need to reach out to you. So why don't we is there anything you want to kind of do to finish up? I appreciate, it's been a really fun conversation. So I've
I'm
enjoyed
so
we've gone
glad.
all over. So give us a kind of how people get in contact with you. And then is there anything that you want to kind of finish with?
Sure thing. Well, like I said before, simply Shannon Scott. Basically all of my handles. You can find me that way. That's where I communicate. SimplyShannonScott.com, all that. I'm easy peasy. Just message me. I'll always get back to you. If I'm a little bit late, don't worry. I will get back to you. But that's definitely an easy way to connect. And let's see, as far as anything else, if you're an actor and you're just either struggling or you're in this slump and you're feeling like you're not getting anywhere, come to me for support too. I love motivating and keeping everybody on track because that's another it's a hard industry to be in. And we get rejected on the daily, even when we're not directly rejected, like say, no, we don't want you. We don't hear back from companies, so we feel rejected. That's like a form of rejection, right? So if you need support, I am here for you. And it also brings me to the Bright Stars Green Room, which is an acting retreat that I made for actors. Now, originally when I created that, remember when I said in the beginning, start smaller versus bigger? So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? Like I started the Bright Stars Green Room with this elaborate idea of making the actors who don't know where to go. We're getting everything from business to being on film to being in an elaborate location and all this stuff, getting your coaching, getting your sound meditations, building your mindset, all this stuff. But it was too much for actors just getting in. And so that's where I say to dream big, have this elaborate plan maybe for later, but start out small. So if you're an actor and you want to, do something for yourself to get into the business, to figure out how it works, what to do, we're going to start putting together like smaller workshops and like weekend activities for actors to come and just learn the business and have fun doing it. Because I think that this industry, it lacks fun. I think, and
A lot of
motivation.
businesses do, but they shouldn't. They
They
really
shouldn't.
shouldn't. We spend
We
too much time doing it. You've got to have it to where it's fun and enjoyable if
yes.
you're going to be successful.
Yeah, that and community. You have to
Yes.
have community. And I think that that is another thing that's missing in the performance industry. So I want to build that and
So,
just
so on
bring
that
that
note,
together.
so on their website, they can find all that information, reach out to you if they're interested, like in one of those workshops that could be
So,
like a few hours all the way to a weekend, right? So you're designing it to kind of fit where people are.
so just contact me, simply
Okay.
Shannon Scott. Just contact me first. I am working on all the other things. I mean, you can follow the Bright Stars Green Room. You can look it up, thebrightstarsgreenroom.com. But right now, I don't have anything posted. It's, I want to get the people who are interested to come to me first. And then, like I said, I've been working
Start
in the
small. What
background,
you're doing, what you
starting
said.
small.
So
Yep.
you get
I'm
people, and then that's a great
start
idea.
because I did. I started way too high, way too dreamy, and it was fantastic. I did it, and I'm proud of myself for that. Which, by the way, be proud of yourself always, no matter if it's a failure or a success. That failure is a learning experience.
Yes,
It is a learning
absolutely.
experience, and it will turn into a success later down the road. And I know this because I'm getting goose pimples. So I feel really good about that answer.
Yes, that's
And
good.
yeah, start out, just be proud of your failures and just start out a little bit, take a step back, and then go from there.
Well, that's wonderful. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it. So thank you everyone for spending time on Plan Assist. Make sure you like and subscribe so you continue to get this content and information from us. And with that, I want to thank you again, Shannon. I've enjoyed the conversation.
No, thank you so much, Tim, for having me. This has been a pleasure, and I'm so happy to meet you and talk with you today. And also, thank you everybody for sticking with us through this. This is just really cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks.